Star Wars Geek Girls. They're geek girls that like Star Wars. And sometimes cry.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Star Wars Geek Girl. I'm Zoe, and as usual, I'm here with Lizzy.
Hello.
And we have a very special guest. We're here with Vanessa Marshall.
Hey. Oh my gosh. That is the best intro I've ever heard in my entire life. And it really sums us all up. Total Star Wars girls, and sometimes we cry.
Exactly.
And then there are happy beeps from BB-8. I love it.
Yeah.
Thank
you so much.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, we're really excited to have Vanessa on here. For anyone who doesn't remember what that name is from, Vanessa is the voice of Hera, everyone's favorite pilot and the best pilot from Star Wars Rebels. And she just recently started the podcast Pod of Rebellion, which is a Star Wars Rebels rewatch podcast. And so we're here to chat about the rewatch podcast. The first episode is out, and the second one comes out this week, right?
Yep.
So yeah, it's once a week. And it's great. I have like literally like 10 minutes left of the first episode because my drive was just not quite long enough listening to it. But I can't wait to finish it. It's so good. And I'm really excited to talk about it. So I guess my first question, very general question. So what sparked creating the podcast?
Well, I love the word spark because spark of rebellion, all the sparks. I love the sparks. What sparked it was we were coming up on the 10-year anniversary, and we were trying to figure out a way to celebrate what was so impactful in our lives, not only, producing the show, but also meeting people since doing the show and during, for example, when I met you guys in the middle of all of it, I'm so grateful to have made those connections, and y'all are friends for life, like family ride or die people, it's not just a show that we did. It's sort of like we were inducted into an entire and we wanted to find a way for us to all hang out and pay tribute to the IP and all the hard work that went into it. And we were at UwuCon in Arizona, and Dante Brasco, who was in Avatar, he we had emailed with him prior to the event, but he was telling us all about his Avatar podcast. And he said, y'all should 100% do a Rebels rewatch podcast. I thought, oh my gosh, that's a great idea. That's 100% what we should do. And I figured I'll see if I can, call anyone or I don't know. I mean, obviously we could do sort of a grassroots thing, but I ended up pitching the idea to iHeartRadio, and luckily they were fans of the show, and they were aware of how lovely Star Wars family is and how much it means, and they could see the value in doing such a thing, and we launched it. I approached John Brody. John is really close friends with Freddie Prinze Jr. and does a number of podcasts with Freddie. And previous to this, we had played RPG Star Wars games with John. So I reached out to him and I said, listen, buddy, you want to be a moderator for us and kind of guide us? And I wanted him to be more front and center because he's sort of like a side guy with Freddie. And I thought in this, he could really be more a part of it. And indeed he is. So it's the four of us. It's me, Taylor Gray, and Tia Surkar. So we've got Ezra and Sabine. Steve Bloom is really, really busy, and Freddie is really, really busy. So we weren't able to get them to commit to doing a weekly show, but we were 100% available and happy to reminisce. And we decided that we didn't want it to be a typical beat by beat rewatch, that we wanted, first of all, John Brody's 80s references, which I don't even know if you guys were born. I don't think you were born when the 80s were around, but I can promise you there was some excellent hair going on to the tune of similar to the one framed in the background where I am. Yeah, and if you wanna see the mullet, just go to my Instagram feed. You'll know what I'm saying there. Anyway, but being a child of the '80s, we all love John's '80s references, and he summarizes the episode, and then we just sort of go down memory lane and talk about, things that happen in the record session and kind of our exposure to the saga. Taylor and Tia knew very little about it. By comparison, Freddie and I were obviously tried and true fans, and it was really smart the way they cast the thing because they're learning about the saga in real time was very intrinsic to their experience, with Tia's character coming from the Imperial training that she had had into this new Rebel Alliance construction. She was learning in real time, and so was Ezra. So anyway, it was sort of life imitating art, and we talk about that and just hilarious things that happen along the way. And we have recruited JC, who is our fact checker at the end of the episode, and it's really fun because that guy, I don't know, buddy, he's like a Wikipedia. He's pretty amazing, and so that's kind of the structure of it. It's not a typical rewatch podcast, but it is a wonderful way for us to revisit all the growth that we've experienced since then as people, as artists. And the really fun part of it is that we are using this as an opportunity to highlight some of the folks in the background, the writers, artists, people who don't necessarily get a ton of attention. We're going to have them on the show. We're also going to have other celebrities who are fans of Star Wars, and they'll explain what Star Wars Rebels meant to them. We're even going to have some athletes. So it's really wide open, and we're also going to have a bunch of cosplayers. I have a whole text chain on my Instagram, or I guess a DM chain, where all the Heras correspond, and they're like, "Oh, the mom jeans, I'm struggling," or whatever. And okay, this is the belt buckle you need, and this is the exact lipstick if you want to be like season 4, da 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 da. And I have no pearls of wisdom whatsoever to offer, but I just love being on the text chain with all the Heras, all the space moms confer. Like it's a beautiful thing. Anyway, so we're gonna have different episodes featuring Sabine, featuring Hera, featuring Ezra, featuring Kanan, and just really give the fans a chance to talk about how they love the Star Wars Rebels series and what it meant to them and stuff like that. We don't often get to do. I mean, I guess we do it in conventions, at Comic-Cons and stuff like that, but we just wanted to have an ongoing thing where we could do more of that stuff. So that's what we've created, and that was the spark, and we're all really grateful that it's so well received. I can't believe it. In the first day, it had 2,500 downloads, which is
Wow.
crazy. I know. And supposedly it's number 1 for TV and film podcasts. Not number 1 overall. I think we're number 22 overall, but in that particular category, which is really delightful. And I don't say that to brag. I say that to confirm that Star Wars family is real, and we want to hang out as much as possible. And we've found each other, and we can do that on a weekly basis now, and it's awesome. So I couldn't be happier.
You can brag a little bit. It's really
Yeah.
impressive.
No, I had a hunch. And what that confirmed is that I'm not crazy. Well, maybe I am crazy, but I really felt that this would be meaningful. But, you never know. You never know. We could have launched this and people are like, I'm over it, or I don't know. I'm glad that people care about it as much as I do, and I'm very grateful for that.
I will
it's
say,
not so much a rating as it is a sign that something special happened in those 4 seasons for all of us. And I'm grateful that we can share that again and again. Anyway,
Yeah.
what were you going to say?
I was going to say, I'm just letting you know your spark created the spark for my dad now. He wants to do a Rebels rewatch as well. So
Good.
we'll be doing that as well.
Dope. Okay, great.
Oh my gosh. And
I don't think I can guest on that one, unfortunately, because I think I'm not allowed to do any rewatches while we're doing this one. That was part of the deal.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That is all right. We also talk about a bunch of memories that we had. Like we just recorded the first episode we did the shorts, and we did the 2 parts of Spark of Rebellion.
Yeah.
And we just were talking about you, and we're talking about Dave, and like literally meeting everyone, because Rebels, at least for us, started it all.
Yeah.
Like we were already in Saber Guild and stuff, but we didn't feel like we had a close connection of this, like a Star Wars family, until Rebels came out. And you know, just like you said, it just like it's a community, it's a family, it's amazing.
Well,
what
that
Rebels has done.
WonderCon 2014, I believe it was. And I took a picture with a 501st. It was in the morning, and I looked over and I thought I was hallucinating. I was like, the show hasn't even come out yet. Is that that looks like my character? Wait, that's Kanan. Hold on, that's Chopper. Like I really lost my mind. And then when I was finally able to meet you guys, I was screaming and like calling Freddie, calling Tia, calling Tara. I was like, you guys, you're not even going to believe this. It's so amazing. And then who would have known? Like I would literally, and I'm not trying to overstate things, but I would take a bullet for your family. Like I know, I mean it. Like I love you guys so much. I mean, maybe it's a good thing that we don't live next door to each other, because I would literally be over every day. Like, you know, but
We would do the exact same. Dad, all of us would fight for you.
I just love you guys so much. And it's remarkable to me. Like I don't know, I was terrified in the 501st photo because I was standing next to Darth Vader and I could hear him breathing and I thought I was going to throw up. I was so scared. Then I looked over and saw you guys and it comforted me. Anyway, and I'm grateful Kevin Weir of the 501st, you know, kind of put us all together, and I'm grateful to have made that connection. I think he's still gonna build me a femme trooper. We have there's so much more to be done. We have many adventures ahead. I'm very excited.
So much to do.
Yeah.
So like kind of building off what you're saying on this, like this response you got from the show, did you ever, like when you started or any other time, did you ever expect there'd be such a desire 10 years later for more Rebels? Like was that something you ever thought about?
Well, I know that I would have it. I just didn't know that it would be reflected back, because I think attention spans can be really short these days. But I got to tell you, if there was a Clone Wars rewatch, I would listen to that religiously. I mean, Clone Wars is everything to me, and those stories, they've left an indelible mark on my heart. I mean, oh my gosh, I totally ugly cried when I met Ashley. Just thinking about when she left the Jedi Order. Oh, I can't, like, I can't even breathe. It means so much to me. And like, I couldn't believe it. She came into the Rebels record, you know, she's in the spoiler alert, she's in the final episode of the first season. But she came in and
Here's the spoilers.
yeah, I assume it's a rewatch. We're good. But she gave us all her universe shirts. She came in with gifts, and like I just couldn't function really. And I finally I turned to her and I hugged her and I just started sobbing and I was like, thank you so much for your work. You're so amazing. You know, you're forever Snips. Like you've no idea. You fleshed out the character of Anakin and that whole world so much more for me. Having grown up as like OG, going to the, you know, episode 4, 5, and 6 and blah, 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 you know, but she is such a kind soul. And she was so patient with me having a nervous breakdown. But I mean, it's Ahsoka.
Yeah.
But she has become a lifelong friend as well. And anyway, I knew that I would love something like that for the Clone Wars because I know how much it really impacted my life. So I could only hope that that would be the case with Rebels. I know I would want it. I didn't know that others would either, or as well. I would hope so. But the more I travel and the more people that I meet and you know, I met one woman, she was diagnosed with cancer in the pandemic, and going through her chemo, she started with the, you know, Spark of Rebellion, and she made it all the way through the seasons, and she had tears in her eyes, and she said, I made it through chemo. She beat cancer. And she said the journey of the family, the chosen family in Star Wars Rebels, gave her the strength and courage and all the things to greet that very, very challenging, you know, sort of crossroads in her life. And she hugged me and I hugged her. We were both crying. I mean, sometimes we cry. But I see that it really impacted a lot of people, and I think strangely, the gift of the pandemic for a lot of people was that they were able to dip into it. People who had been Clone Wars fans that were skeptical, or people who were OG movie fans, that grew up with George Lucas, not episodes, the 4 no, 1 through 3, some people came to it with Jar Jar Binks, other people came to it on Tatooine with the twin sons and, um, Luke's call to action, but it doesn't matter where you plug into it, but, everyone, really got a lot of juice out of the Star Wars Rebels stuff in the pandemic. They were finally able to kinda dive in, so I think that also helped. I think also people wanted to understand some of the on-camera stuff better, so they did a deep dive into the cartoons to have a better sense, although I think they could live independently and be just as valuable, but it's always fun to kinda get backstory. So, anyway, I love it from beginning to end. I just rewatched, episodes 7, 8, and 9, and talk about spark of rebellion when Princess Leia says the spark is out. Oh, is devastating. Like that movie, and then at the end, when Rey says that her last name is Skywalker, oh, with those sons on Tatooine, I
Yeah.
just lost my mind. I mean, it's just so delicious that rewatching and rewatching, it's even better than you remember. It just gets
Mhm.
better and better. Anyway. And I'm so excited for a Star Wars Celebration in Japan. That's gonna be a dream come true, really.
Like,
Absolutely.
yeah, I
Speaking
never.
of Japan, do you want to tell everyone your panel really quickly? Because the panel schedule just came out for
Oh, yes.
Celebration.
Yes, absolutely. So I will be at Star Wars Celebration in Tokyo, and it looks like there is, autograph signing and, photo ops. So, there are many opportunities for us to, see each other and hang out. If you sign up for an autograph or for that, I'll be working all 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but, Saturday at 2:45 PM, I'm hosting an interview with Oscar Isaac, and then later that day, there's a cosplay contest that I'll be judging with Ashley at 4:30 PM. That's on Saturday the 19th. And, I've heard that on Sunday the 20th, there's a Rebels finale screening at 2:30, so I hope I can go to that, redeem myself, because I know the first time I saw that finale, I was eating a protein bar when I found out that I had given birth to a son, and there's some gif somewhere of me like, you know, uh,
Mhm.
like freaking out. I think I'm punching Taylor Gray sitting next to me and trying to chew a protein bar at the same time. It's a really great photo. I didn't know that they had, like, night vision goggles to see people's reactions. But, anyway,
I remember when that was happening, Dave passed by my family
yeah,
and my mom went to say hi to him,
yeah.
and and he, like, put his hand on her shoulder and was like, "Just trust me." And she was like, "What do you mean?" And he was like, "No, no, no, just watch it, stay here, just trust me, okay?" And, like, just walked away
Oh, wow.
seriously, and then that
Yeah,
happened, and she was like, "Okay, I trusted you, and I loved it. It's
yeah,
amazing. I'm
yeah.
an actual mother now."
Wow. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Honestly, pretty crazy. I mean, yeah, she went from space mom to, like, mom, pretty
Yeah,
much. Yeah,
full-time mom.
yeah. I can't wait to see how that pans out too. I mean, no Leku, but seems to be force sensitive. I'm ready. I'm here for all of it. Let's go. Can't
Mhm.
wait. Yep. Anyway. So yeah, and I think there's a 20th anniversary, Lucasfilm celebration, um, panel. I think that's on Friday. I hope to go to that. That's at 3:30, Friday the 18th. Um,
Also hoping to go to that one.
yeah. We'll have to link up and sort it all out once we're there. Definitely.
I'm a notorious get in line right away person. I was queuing up at 4 a.m. every morning at London, so
Oh
I'll
god.
I'll
Yeah,
be
it's
there.
gonna be I really hope my brain works. My worst fear is that I'm going to be like jet lagged talking to Oscar, going like, "Hey, dude, so I did ADR for Rise of Skywalker. Remember those little pigs that were, in the, the festival? Yeah, that was me. How you doing, man?" Like, I forgot. I was watching the Rise of Skywalker again. I'm like, "Oh, that's right. We voiced those little characters. All the ladies in the Loop Troop covered that." But anyway, yeah. And that one woman who gives her a necklace, that was voiced by Deborah Wilson, who is an amazing voiceover actress in a bunch of Star Wars video games. And
I didn't know that. That's so cool.
yeah, when she's like, "Oopu doopu," whatever.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
And they're translating what she's saying. Yeah. Oh, she's so talented. Anyway, we had a great time doing that, but I had completely spaced. It all kind of blurs together. But and then I'm in another movie with Oscar Isaac. I did not realize that he was in it because so often you go and record by yourself and you don't know anyone else who's in the movie. But I'm doing a panel. Well, I'm doing 2 panels at WonderCon actually, but on Saturday, March 29th at WonderCon at 3:00, there's a film called King of Kings. I haven't seen it yet, so I can't really speak to it, but I'm in that. And Jim Cummings is on the panel, James Arnold Taylor, Fred Tatasciore, the director and the producers will be doing the panel that day, Saturday. But it turns out that Oscar Isaac is in King of Kings too. Who knew? I don't know. And then Friday night, the 28th of March, I will be doing a Blood of Zeus panel for any Greek god fans out there. It's on Netflix, cartoon Blood of Zeus, and that's from 7 to 8, and there'll be all kinds of cool people there. The creators, the director, casting director, Meredith Lane, Cissy Jones, Courtney Taylor, Fred Tatasciore, Julie Nathanson. I play the part of Hestia in that.
Ooh.
So anyway, it should be a good time. That's in room 300A for anyone who happens to be in Anaheim, Friday the 28th. But
Man,
anyway,
you're booked.
all that to say, like, who knew? Oh, and by the way, I think I'm doing a signing on Sunday with Ashley. Hold on, let me see if I can find this thing. Yeah, that's also, I think it's in Downey, OG Collectibles. Hold on. Let's see.
You're like completely booked.
Yeah, here it is. OG Collectibles on where is it? It's March 30th. What is the time frame? It doesn't say. That's weird. Oh, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Sunday, March 30th. It'll be me, Ashley Taylor, and James Arnold Taylor. 11 a.m. to 3. And OG Collectibles, I'm not sure where that is, but there are tickets available on Tixr, Tixr. And there's a link in the bio if you want to look up OG Collectibles on Instagram. Anyway, yeah, it's going to be a busy weekend. I know, Lizzy, it's your birthday, so you get a pass. But I hope I can, in the middle of all that stuff, find you somewhere to give you a big hug. So
Almost every year, it's always like, it's WonderCon. Everyone go to WonderCon, which is so fair, completely fair. It's like my birthday's around the time where Nintendo games come out, and WonderCon is there.
I think Tales of the Shire comes out on your birthday this year too.
Oh my gosh. That's so crazy. Anyway, yeah, there's a lot of stuff like back to back and all good stuff. I'm thinking about getting a hotel down there rather than trying to get there by 7:00 Friday night, driving back Friday night, getting there by 11 on Saturday, leaving at 5, going back for 10 a.m. Like, I don't know, buddy. Yeah, we'll see how that plays out. I don't know. Anyway, all good stuff.
We kind of touched on this already, but like, kind of to merge 2 questions together. What has it been like to revisit Rebels, like just after all these years with Tia and Taylor, and then just in general, the Rebels family? Like, obviously happy memories, happy thoughts, but on a deeper level, how does it feel to be with them?
It feels fantastic, and I'm remembering my first impressions of them. I mean, Taylor was so young,
A
and
baby.
oh, yeah, and I didn't really know him, but then I started to see him reading Socrates and reading, Pema Chodron. Pema Chodron is a Buddhist writer. When
Interesting.
when things fall apart, I'm like, "Bro, you're way too young to be, like, diving depths of hell. Like, wait, what are you doing, man?" Like, I think I read that. I don't know, buddy. Anyway, but I was like, this kid runs deep. Like, I had no idea. And then I traveled with him to the Toronto Film Festival, or not Toronto Film Festival. It was the same weekend, but I think we were there for Fan Expo Toronto. And um, I learned a lot traveling with him. He's an interesting cat. He's um, really just, one of the most brilliant minds I've ever talked to, and every time we're on a plane together, he's writing a script. Like, wow, way to be productive in the 5 hours that you could take a nap, but, he's, like, constantly, crushing it on all levels, and, so it's been fun to sort of look at him at first glance and be like, "Oh, look at that kid," and then again and again sort of get to know him and see like, "Oh, yeah, he kinda is a Jedi." He's not kidding. Casually, like, low key, he is serious about
Mhm.
a lot of things and very dedicated, and I'm
Wow.
very impressed with him. Exactly. And,
Mhm.
Freddie, I had never met before, and I actually had never seen any of his movies, and I don't know, I missed that train for some reason, and so he was just like a really cool Star Wars fan to me, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't mean to insult him that I didn't see anything, but it was really cool to get to know him vis-a-vis our connection with the Star Wars stuff, and, um, Steve Bloom I've known for years, and he's just been a clown, and he always cracks us all up, but yeah, and Tia and I constantly bond over sporting events and stuff like that, but anyway, it's been delightful to reminisce about what our first impressions were, how far we've come, and then to rewatch the work we did, given all that knowledge that's happened since then. It's pretty remarkable, and I thought I had seen all of the episodes, and there were a few where I'm like, "Wait a minute, there's no way I blacked this out, like, I didn't see how did I not see this?" And it must have been, at the time I was also doing Gamora on Guardians of the Galaxy, so I
Mhm.
think sometimes I just wasn't able to watch it when it aired, and I thought to myself, "Well, I recorded it, so I remember that," but so it's been wonderful for me to go back and see things that I thought I had already seen and have a fresh take on it with all that has transpired since then. So it's been really, really cool, and it's so funny to watch Tia and Ezra bicker. I mean, Tia and Taylor bicker today in real
Same
time. Like,
thing.
no, they come into the thing like, "I have no idea what's happening," and then cut to today, they're having, like, a lightsaber argument about lightsabers, and I'm to the death. And, John and I just kinda sat back and we were like, "Well, we'll just let them work this out." No, but there's a genuine, passion for Star Wars stuff that didn't exist when we first met them. So it's really funny to watch them bicker like that. And they love each other so much. It's not like true fighting, but I don't know. It's
Mhm.
how it is when people get into
Yeah,
yeah, on the
That's
Star Wars lore, but
Oh, I know. I have a brother,
there
and
it
I feel
is.
bad.
Yeah. So, anyway.
it's
Yeah,
so funny.
it's been great. It's been wonderful, and I'm so excited for all the episodes to come.
Yeah.
I
Has there been anything really like unexpected that like you wouldn't anticipate when you're going back to like talk about the show?
Well, like I said, I thought I had seen them all, so
Right.
I was shocked that there were a couple I had never seen, and
which
I had to pay closer attention. I was like, "Wait a minute, how did I hallucinate? Like, how did I miss this? I cannot believe it." So that was shocking.
how does so I have a like off script question, but how does that work? So when you go to record and then that's like that's it? Like you don't know what's like I don't know why, but in my head, like I always thought like you guys recorded it all and then you watched it in like your own little separate
There
things. I
were
don't know.
there were a
I'm
couple
curious.
screenings. There were a couple screenings along the way. They would invite us to Disney to see certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And for the most part, we kind of watched things on our own. I had made friends with all these different fangirls and Star Wars in the Classroom and all these different groups of folks at Rancho Obi-Wan. Like we would watch the episodes and live tweet back then, tweeting, our responses like, oh no, or whatever. So
I
I
guess yeah, so it's different because it's animated, right?
Yeah, and I mean, it depends. Like if there's post-production, say for example, there's a fight scene, they would do all the verbiage like, "No, get out," or whatever. And then they would say, "All right, we need to go back and now we've got the animation and we need running and certain things to fill out these motions or okay, we have a crowd scene here. Can you guys just do I don't know." And so some of the things we would see little bits of in post-production before they were released to kind of clean things up because the actors lay stuff down. We don't know which thing they've picked. Say, for example, when Hera meets Chom for the first time in a billion years and starts fighting with him, and she slips into her Ryloth accent, we had recorded it many ways. And at the end of it, Dave Filoni said, like, remember when I texted you and asked if she would ever speak in her Ryloth accent? I was like, yeah. And he said, do that. Because I said only if she was mad. So she was mad. So he said, do that. So then we did one take where she, kind of explodes in her hometown accent. And I didn't know if they were going to use that or not. I don't know how they weave this tapestry together. It's always better than I could imagine. And so when I watched that and I was like, oh, they use that take. It works so well. Like you can tell she's so vulnerable that she loses the ability to mask, in other situations, she's so together for the cause that she'll calls herself Spectre 2. She doesn't need to be number one because she doesn't want to be caught. She has the humility to be Spectre 2. She gathers this group with their different assets and is so wise in those ways. But when dad drives her crazy, that cloaking that she did to undo her accent, she loses that ability. And it's from her love more so than her rage. But anyway, in other words, watching that scene, like, dude, that could have gone either which way. I didn't know what they chose. And so when we watch it, we then realize, oh, that's the take they picked. Because we do many versions. So that's kind of the fun of watching it after the fact is that we get to see, we did the scene where Kanan makes the ultimate sacrifice, but nothing could have prepared us for the animation and the devastation of that moment where his eyes light up again for a moment. You can put that on paper. You can see the typed words vaguely describing it, but when the incredible artists, I mean, there were so many, Joel Aaron, Killian Plunkett, like all the great minds over there, so many incredible humans put their very best into creating such a literal intergalactic experience that rewatching it or even watching it for the first time back then was devastating. And so when we rewatch it now, we remember what it looked like in our imagination. Then we remember what it looked like when we actually saw what they chose. And now we're looking at the whole 4 seasons and the context of that scene within the 4 seasons. And it's completely different. So it's just a lot of fun to remember all those versions and see how far we've come. Yeah.
It's been 10 years. It's
Yeah.
a long time.
It is.
Speaking about like how you're seeing things differently, like Rebels was the first, Disney Star Wars, like post-Disney acquisition project. And it kind of, in my opinion, planted a lot of seeds for what we're seeing today, like the Inquisitors, these characters, like, everything keeps showing up in other shows, like the Bad Batch or Obi-Wan Kenobi. And so do you feel like now that the story's expanded in some of those ways, do you feel like you're seeing Rebels differently, like in that way, where now you can be like, oh, I know what this character did before, or something like that.
Yeah, I guess so. I still have so many questions that I hope will be answered in Ahsoka. I want to know more about Jason. I don't care where we get the answers, if it's a novel, if it's a novel, a comic book, or in Ahsoka. I want to know more about Kanan's legacy in Jason. I'm so fascinated by that, and I pray that we get more from that. So I think it's only made me more hungry for more content. Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait to see where all this lands us ultimately.
Absolutely. And so, playing off that too, it's like, since, Rebels started, you recorded Hera for the shorts in season 1, and then since then you've played her in a bunch of other things. You played her in Forces of Destiny, in Squadrons, and the Bad Batch. So
Yeah.
when you go back to hear like that original performance, like the first one that was released, do you feel like it's changed? Like, how do you feel, it's been since then?
No, I think it's in the pocket. I think it's pretty similar. She really runs the gamut from really operating from her heart and being very heart-centered to also very comedic and wry. And there's a lot of distance between those two things. And I think she embodies those possibilities consistently. It was so much fun to explore what she was like as a teenager, because we don't know if she always had that much moxie or if it's a departure from who she was as a teen. So it was so fun to work on that. And we also wanted to work on how much of the Ryloth accent we put on there, how naive she was, or was she always, a sharpshooter? It was really fun to try and create the most interesting journey for her in terms of a character arc and growth and individuation from her family. So even if it was different from who Hera is in season 4 of Rebels, it planted the seeds for who she became. And I really enjoyed season 4, observing how she made the rebellion her priority, so much so that she kind of put Kanan aside for now. Like that felt like a petty concern. There were, lives hanging in the balance, and she really wanted to get the alliance situated, etc. And then, when she thought there would be more time. I mean, that's a life lesson for all of us right there. But for her to realize, I mean, I think that many humans, I was going to say Americans, I think we all work and work and work and work and work, so much so that we forget the value of work-life balance and letting people know that they matter. And I am also guilty of that. I work all the time. I love what I do. So it's not, I don't feel put upon by that. I feel privileged and grateful for the work that I get to do. But I do think there's a lot of value in recognizing the power of silence and stillness and fun. And when Hera learned that the hard way, that impacted me personally. But that's very unlike who she was season 1. So I enjoyed embodying that life lesson as the show ended. So, yeah, it's really just been like a magic carpet ride. Honestly, so cool.
Yeah. I think I one of the biggest things of Hera I did like what you were mentioning is her accent when it comes out, because it just reminds me of my mom a lot. She may not like it, but whenever she gets angry or she's like seriously talking, like
Yeah.
it'll come out. Like
Yeah.
she has it no matter what, but it'll like really
Yep.
come out then. And like when that happened in that episode, I was like, Mom, it's you.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's like these little details in Rebels are just amazing. And like we were talking about how it just like Rebels like planted all of these things. Like
Yeah.
it's awesome. Like anything, like you just Rebels itself is just amazing, right? And to have all these things even come out in like the movies and stuff and be like, oh yeah, that was from Rebels. Or you see the Rebels ship and you're like, Rebels,
Yeah.
duh.
Yeah.
All of it is like awesome. And to be able to, I like when I'm like watching it with a friend and they're like, what is that from? I'm like, well, you should watch Rebels.
Yeah.
I'm
Rebels
telling
is
you,
really cool.
I'm the most annoying person at work because if someone brings up Star Wars, I'm like, yeah, and like there's this thing. I'm like, yeah, because it's in Rebels, and you should watch Rebels. You should watch Rebels.
Pretty much.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. For our last question, are there any particular episodes you're excited to get to rewatch and talk about on your podcast?
My favorite episode is when she flies the B-wing, and
Ooh, yeah.
yeah,
I
that
was
one
just
needs.
listening to that song the other day. So
Yeah,
good.
music is incredible. The Kevin Kiner and the entire team is just beyond every aspect of that. But I am grateful that they highlighted what flight means to her. My dad was in the Air Force and he's a pilot and he flies an open cockpit biplane like Snoopy, with
Mhm.
goggles and the parachute and the whole thing. And
That helped a lot, actually. I
yeah,
understand now.
I mean, the first time I went flying with him, he cut the engine and I thought my dad died. I was like, oh, great. I got to land a plane now. Oh, brother, this sucks. I'm probably going to die too, And because I heard you could hear the wind on the wires, like, and then you just start falling and falling and falling. But when you start falling, you gain enough momentum to then start doing what are called hammerheads, which are spirals down to earth and then up. The speed that you gain falling gives you the ability to go back up again. And my dad is laughing and laughing and laughing. I was like, well, I guess the good news is he's not dead. But it just when I was thinking, when I would see Star Wars and see the Millennium Falcon doing all these things, I'm like, yep, been there. I know what that feels like. When they're just looping around. I mean, obviously my dad's biplane is nothing like the Falcon, but you understand.
Yeah.
The premise of like stuff happens in flight. It gets weird. So, but anyway, I was able to dedicate that episode to my dad, and I look forward to revisiting that. Because it was just such a sweet thing to share with him and dedicate to him. And he always tried to instill in me the value of perspective. And he would always say that when we're flying above the earth, you get a kind of perspective that's healthy to see. It's not always just about you, that there is there's the macro, there's the population, there's the culture, there's nature, there's so much more going on in the world. And then of course in Star Wars we see all of space and all the other races and everything. But I'm grateful that he instilled that in me, and I felt like that scene was sort of paying homage to that worldview, and I could sort of applaud him with that performance and trying to explain the value of flight. I remember he read that book, Jonathan Livingston Seagull. I don't know if your parents ever tried to force that on you, but I read it. But it's a very spiritual book that is all about sort of perspective and ethics and values and stuff like that. So anyway, I'm looking forward to the B-Wing episode. Not only that, I mean, it's a B-Wing, y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. And also Corey Burton, I mean, Cad Bane, Corey Burton, I'm acting opposite him. I'm just like the whole time going like, act normal, act normal. I love me some Cad Bane. And when he made it over into the on camera, I was so happy. Anyway, I adore him. I love him as Dooku. He's just an incredible actor. But to be in the same voiceover studio with him was an honor. But anyway, we'll get to that episode eventually. Yeah.
Yeah, I love what your podcast, is like gonna be is doing and is gonna be doing. Like you mentioned, having people on like the writers and like people in the background or even just other actors that aren't in it. Like that's just so inclusive and something that like I feel is more unique and special than other podcasts. Like, my family and I, we could talk about the episode as much as we want,
Right.
but we'll never have the perspective and experience of what it was like being in there, what was like working with these other people
Yeah.
and the writers and how they were just as people,
Yeah.
working with others.
We're hoping to get up to Skywalker Ranch and do a bunch of interviews up there and kind of sprinkle them in along as we go. So I really do want to honor the many, many people who contributed to this. I mean, Dante Brasco is in one of our episodes upcoming, and because he's in the show as well. And they talked about Asians in Star Wars, and we're talking about people of color and diversity and inclusivity and stuff like that. And we address that. And I think that's also important. And I'm glad that we just sort of pause and take a moment to recognize that. Dante is so funny. I mean, man, if he hadn't suggested that we do the podcast, I don't know that I would have been as tenacious about like, no, man, we got to do this. It'd be awesome.
He's
really,
Zuko, right?
yes.
In Avatar? Okay.
Mhm.
He went to he's an alumni from my high school.
No way.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, yes.
I believe
I will say his speech, he did a speech like for the 2019 year, I believe the year before mine. He's a great speaker, so I'm not surprised that he inspired you.
Yeah, and I didn't know he was a hip hop head. I'm a total hip hop head, and I was like, how did I miss this? Yeah, because I met Kevin Weir, the person who has done a million builds for the 501st.
And for me and Axel.
Exactly. Yeah, totally. For
her mom too. Yeah,
Yeah.
we have a whole femme trooper.
Yeah, Amanda, right? Everybody.
Mhm.
And so someone gave me, I think Victor Silva, one of the Mandalorian people, gave me his information to build a femme trooper. And I called him and he was like, I'm sorry, my wife would really love to know who in the world you are. And I was like, well, I kind of can't say yet because the thing I'm involved with hasn't come out yet. But I wondered, listen, I got invited to Dante Brasco's birthday party. He was like, what? And I said, could I meet you at the party? You can bring your wife. I'm not like a psycho, I promise. His wife thought was like, who's this lady calling and trying to meet with you? And I was like, I really want to do a femme trooper. And he was like, all right, but I am going to bring my wife. I was like, okay, man, I promise you, I'm not trying to like, that's disgusting. Like, ew. There's a guy, Giancarlo Volpe, who is a writer. He wrote on the Clone Wars and he also wrote on Avatar with Dante, and he invited me to Dante's birthday party. It was somewhere in Hollywood, and he had like dancers and fire breathers and like Spider-Man.
That's on brand.
Some next level beyond like bonanza. It was crazy. I've never seen anything like it. And he was so open-hearted and like kind. And I'm like, hope you don't mind that I use this as an opportunity to meet this gentleman from the 501st. And he was just like, yeah, man, it's all good. We're all family. He holds a special place in my heart because I met Kevin that night and he was like, okay, you're not a psychopath. Yes, I can help you. I met his wife, and then like we all went out to dinner and I met his kids, and like they also became family. I mean, obviously they moved up north, and we hope to make a pilgrimage up there to see them. But anyway, so
it's funny to meet these people, especially if you haven't met them like in person.
Yeah.
My mom was a victim of this. She, Dad was podcasting with Steele Saunders for a while.
I remember.
And we had never met him in person before. And then we went to an event. It was a library, and Ashley Eckstein was signing for her new Ahsoka book.
Oh, cool.
And like, me and my mom were just standing there, and suddenly she was like, a tall man was coming at her and was like, Liz Perales, oh my God. And like gave her a hug and everything. It's like, oh my God, I haven't seen, like, how are you? And mom was like, who are you? I'm so sorry. Who are you? Right? He's like, I am so sorry. I podcast with your husband.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
So I think these interactions are always so silly to hear.
I know.
Of meeting
Well,
the family.
Like, and Victor, I've got like the Sabine helmet. He made this Sabine helmet that I have hanging here. And
Mhm.
Victor, he gave me I've got the Mandalorian Merc, the plaque that when I was inducted as a member, that was at the San Diego Comic-Con 2014. Yeah, I love that guy. I always will and always have. And I was down there for DreamHack in San Diego, and he came up to my table. I like jumped over. I was like, oh my God, So the love's real. The love is real.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway, well, dude, thank you so much for having me on. I'm so proud of how far you guys have come. I mean, check out your theme song, y'all. You're killing it. I love
Thank
it.
you, Dad.
we have Sal to thank for that one.
So
But thank you so
good.
much for coming on. I'm so
Yeah.
happy. We haven't had you on, I think, since Rebels was airing, I think.
Yeah, maybe Bad Batch.
So-
Did we do something for Bad Batch? I can't
Maybe something
remember.
for Bad Batch.
We may have. I don't know.
We did a Bad Batch one.
But yeah,
been a
maybe we should do like a Japan recap. Like let's
We
reconvene, maybe
Absolutely.
a few months in or something, but
Yeah.
we'll have to process our Japanese adventures.
Of course.
Dude, I am gonna be such a tourist. I don't even care. I'm gonna have those sticks and everything, record everything with respect. With a lot of respect.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna be so annoying.
Not at all. It's gonna be great. We're all gonna have a great time.
I still feel like a tourist in LA sometimes. So like
I do
nothing
too.
wrong with being a bit of a tourist.
I do too. I grew up here and I do too.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much. Everyone make sure you check out Pot of Rebellion. It's very easy to catch up. There's only one episode out right at the moment, and there's another one coming out this week. It's really, really, really great show. You can follow them on Instagram for all of the updates at Pot of Rebellion. Vanessa, you kind of talked about. Sam, yeah.
I was just going to say, if you have any questions, or you're a Rebels cosplayer, or you have fan art or any fan theories, or you just want to say hi, Pod of Rebellion podcast at gmail.com. Hopefully you can come, just drop us a line, and we're going to do a bunch of episodes where we interact with the fans with their emails. So if you want to reach out, feel free to Pod of Rebellion podcast at Gmail.
Absolutely. And where I know you talked about your panels and stuff earlier that you have coming up. So if you want to say those again, feel free. But also, where else can people find you if they want to keep up with the house you do?
Well, easiest place is my website, vanessamarshall.com. If you go there, you'll find all my socials. For Instagram, it's Vanessa Marshall 1138. I'm on Blue Sky, and I have a Facebook fan page, but I pretty much hang on IG for the most part. And on there, you'll see I'm at WonderCon both Friday and Saturday, and I'm signing at OG Collectibles that Sunday, March 29th, 30th, March 30th. And then I'll be in Tokyo for the entire time of celebration. I look forward to seeing folks, and there will be other cool things coming out that I'm not allowed to talk about. But if you do follow, subscribe, and all that good stuff with the IG, you'll get all the details as they're announced. So good stuff.
Absolutely. For Star Wars Geek Girl, as always, check us out on StarWarsGeekGirl.com. Right now we have our monthly poll up, which is voting for your favorite Young Jedi Adventures character, since the rest of that season comes out this week. And then check out, I do some writing on there sometimes. I actually just did, because last week was National Women in Aviation Week. So I did a series of articles highlighting female pilots in Star Wars and the real world. And Hera, of course, was one of them.
That's
awesome. So check all of those out. And then you can follow us for updates on other podcasts and anything else we're doing at Star Wars on Instagram at SW Geek Girl, and on Facebook at Star Wars Geek Girl. And if you're in a celebration, a couple hours before Vanessa's panel with Oscar Isaac on Saturday at 11:30 a.m., catch both Lizzy and I on the HoloNet news stage for Star Wars Geek Girl. We'll be there. It's actually the first time, I realize it's the first time we're both at Celebration since Celebration Orlando in 2017.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited. It's going to be super fun.
We were babies then, we're grown now.
It's funny. I was giving because we're also getting new. So if you want new Star Wars Geek Girl cards, new swag, we'll have new ones at Celebration.
Amazing.
I'm also
I
making
still have the
a
old
new
ones,
one.
and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm such a
Aw.
baby in this little photo.
I am also gonna be creating little cards. They're just the drawings of us, but just to pass around. I don't know, just for fun.
Just
For
stuff.
fun.
And I'm making friendship bracelets to give out on. I think I'm gonna do it that
Nice.
Friday.
Nice.
High Republic themed ones.
Ooh, I love it.
Panel.
Amazing.
So, yes, make sure
Dad
you
is
check us
gonna
out.
hunt you down.
If he has my numbers, it won't be hard.
No, it needs to be special at Japan.
But yeah, make sure to check all the panels out at Celebration. It's going to be fun. Check out all the socials and all the writing and all that fun stuff. But thank you so much again, Vanessa, for coming on the
Yes,
show.
thank you.
Thank you. We love you
So fun. I
so
love
much.
you more. I love you more. I love you more.
So I was Zoe.
I was Lizzy.
And I was Vanessa.
May the force be with you, and goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.